Formula One has released its brand new provisional calendar for the 2021 season. 23 races starting in Australia, finishing in Abu Dhabi, but there's a few tweaks and changes along the way, a couple of disappointments considering the crazy season we have had in 2020. I'm going to go through today's calendar with you today, have a little conversation about why things are changing, why things aren't perhaps as exciting as fans would like, and a few surprises certainly near the latter end of the calendar. So, as always, if you are new, feel free to subscribe to keep up to date with all Formula One 2020 and 2021 news. But let's jump into this calendar. 23 races, the longest ever calendar in Formula One history. Of course, this season, the original calendar for 2020 was supposed to be 22 races, the most ever in a Formula One season. So already next year, we're starting to push those boundaries even further, trying to reach that target of 25 races set by Liberty Media a couple of years ago. Is that too many races? I think 22 is the sweet spot. I'm okay with 23, but as you can see from the calendar on screen, at the moment, round 4 is a little bit up in the air. The TBC round, as it currently is known, on the 23rd to the 25th of April. We'll talk about that in a moment's time. But this calendar is a very traditional, modern Formula One calendar. Starting off at Albert Park, Melbourne, Australia. We have started the season here every single year since 2011. I really enjoy this circuit. It's a fun venue. It doesn't always provide the best racing, but I think it's always a good start to the Formula One season. Bahrain, it's up next. We've got 2 races here coming up in the next few weeks in 2020. The traditional circuit layout, no real surprises there either. A return to China in April, followed by our mystery round, round 4. This was initially supposed to be the Vietnam Grand Prix. That was supposed to make its debut earlier on this year in 2020. There have been some complications. I don't want to jump into it too much, but there's been certain high-profile characters involved within the government of Vietnam that may have been taken into custody. It's a little bit confusing. It trickles down to the fact someone who's been a little bit naughty, who's arranged a Formula One Grand Prix, now it might not be happening. So keep your eye on that venue. Is there a possibility there of going to one of the circuits that we visited so far in 2020? Maybe. But this stage of the season, if you can see already, we've had Bahrain, we've had China, we're kind of over in that Middle East Asian kind of part of the championship. Could we see a race in Korea? Could we see a race somewhere else in Vietnam? Potentially, but at the moment, it wouldn't surprise me if we saw that race on the 25th of April completely gotten rid of and down to 22 races this season. A return to Spain, there's a little asterisk next to Spain. That's because it doesn't currently have an active contract with Formula One. That came to an end at the end of this season's Spanish Grand Prix. They had a 2-year extension a couple of years ago. It's on the provisional calendar. I think there's a desire there to keep it on the calendar. I think it's a better circuit, just like Melbourne. I think it's a better circuit than people give it credit for. And actually, if it can survive this season like it's done so already, next season, I think when the 2022 regulations come into play, it's going to be a really fun venue. Partner that with the fact Fernando Alonso is back, Carlos Sainz is moving to Ferrari. We've got to have a Spanish Grand Prix. Monaco is back on the 23rd of May. I cannot wait. I love Monaco. Already so many hot takes on a lot of these calendars. Don't worry, I don't like China. We've gone past China. But Monaco's back. A staple. If you've got to have any race, I believe it's got to be Monaco. Yes, modern Formula One cars do not work around this circuit. But I really missed it this year. That challenge, especially in qualifying, it's just a bit of a rush you don't really get elsewhere on a modern Formula One circuit. I think it's fantastic. I will continue to heap praise on this circuit for as long as I live. Chuffed it's on the provisional calendar for next year. Baku's up next for round 7. Up and down history so far for Baku. We had 2 ridiculously awesome Grand Prix in 2017 and 2018. 2016, not so much. 2019, our last race there, a little bit of a snooze fest as well. but it's a circuit that has the potential to throw in some real spicy moments. Of course, we had that Ricciardo win, Lance Stroll's first podium, so again, happy to see it back on the calendar. Canada. There were rumours that it may be able to stage a Grand Prix for this year. Wasn't able to get on the calendar. Another circuit has to be on the calendar. In its traditional spot, it's away from the rest of the North American leg, I believe because of the severe weather they get in Montreal later on in the year. Paul Ricard's back. It's not a popular venue. We'll leave that at that. Austria, awesome. 2 races there this year. Undeniably, we were going to go back. Silverstone, 2 races there this year. We're going back again next year. And Hungary rounds off your first half of the season. We've got a traditional summer break. We didn't have that this year thanks to the complications, shall we say, globally. So we do have a summer break next year. It's August. It's what we usually have. Happy days. Belgium is our returning race, but for the first time in what seems like forever, Belgium and Monza are not back-to-back. Netherlands, Zandvoort has wiggled its way in between. This year we were supposed to have that right at the beginning of the European season. So pretty much where that Vietnam TBC race is, that's where Zandvoort was in our provisional calendar for 2020. It's further down the line. I can understand why they're still a little bit unsure how things are going to play out next year. They need fans to go to that venue. They need the Orange Army to come and show their support, which I'm sure they will if they're allowed in there. This is a new circuit on the calendar. It'll be the first new circuit we visit next season. The first of 2. Of course, if we get Vietnam, that'll be slightly different. But looking at the calendar now, Zandvoort, our first new venue. I've spoke about this before. I'm not sure what kind of event we're going to get at Zandvoort. I think the crowd is going to be very similar to what we see at Japan, at Silverstone. Super hungry, super enthusiastic fans. We pretty much get that everywhere, actually. Monza as well. Everywhere we get these fans, but I think a real a hub really for the Orange Army is going to be so awesome to see. Racing, a very tight circuit, a circuit actually that is very easy to make mistakes, and mistakes, if you make them, are going to have huge consequences. That's going to be fun. It's almost got a similar challenge to Monaco, whereas if you go outside those white lines, you are done for in that Grand Prix. So I'm a bit 50-50 about that one. We're back at Monza on the 12th of September. Can Gasly go 2 in a row? This is one of my favourites on the calendar, so super chuffed to see that one there. Sochi, I actually thought that was okay this year. It was always going to come back again in its traditional spot, starting off that final Asian leg of the season. Singapore's back, a night race once again, awesome stuff. Suzuka, Japan, has to be on the calendar. Austin, Texas is up next in October, another circuit I absolutely adore, one of Herman Tilke's best circuit designs in my opinion. Mexico is on the 31st of October. Potential, I think it's unlikely, but there is potential rumours that this could coincide with a possible Formula E race weekend, or at least the next weekend from Formula E, something like that. Again, I do think it's unlikely. That was the plan for Monaco this year, and that could very well still be the case, but we're going to have to wait and see. Brazil has changed spaces. This doesn't sound important. It's changed spaces by 1. It's now the 3rd from last Grand Prix of the season, but what that does mean, not in an ideal world, but in a realistic world, there's more of an opportunity. The title fight could be decided at Sao Paulo. Yes, I said Sao Paulo. Interlagos looks to be staying, though once again, just like Spain, on the provisional calendar, it does say subject to contract. Doesn't have a contract at the moment. There is still talk about this new circuit in Rio. There was talk a couple of years ago about a street circuit in Rio as well. I think we'd all love to see Sao Paulo stay. One of the best circuits in the world. Some of the best drama we have seen over the hybrid era has come from this place. I don't want it to change. I want it to stay. And it looks like for the moment, it's going to be staying for next season. There on out, couple of years down the line, we have no idea, but it's on the provisional calendar at the moment. 2 more to go. The 28th of November, a brand new circuit, a brand new venue for Formula One, Saudi Arabia, Jeddah. And we're not talking about Jeddah in Rogue One, like I initially thought. We're talking about the city in Saudi Arabia. It's a questionable decision, a more than questionable decision to go to this venue. I want to focus on the track, because the track itself looks a lot of fun. It's a street circuit, not a traditional street circuit actually. It's not like Monaco, it's not, at least from the plans we've seen so far, it's not like Singapore. It's more of that Albert Park kind of vibe, that Sochi idea, where it's within the streets, but it's more of a circuit layout, not utilising the city streets, a little bit away, more like actually a Formula E race, where it's in the city, they throw up some barriers, they call it a street race. It looks a really good circuit, and time will tell how much Formula One has an impact on that region of the world. And finally, our final race of the season, Abu Dhabi, the 5th of December. So again, just like this year, going quite late on in the year, starting off really early. Of course, less of winter testing next year. Rounding off our season in Abu Dhabi. It's another circuit I know a lot of you hate, and I think it's okay. It's not brilliant. Yes, we'd love to see it at Monza, a Silverstone at Brazil round off the season in terms of racing quality, but I think as a spectacle, especially the decision to go from a day race to a night race, I just really quite like that. I like the poetry in rounding off the season. The last couple of years, we've not had a title fight there, and I think that hasn't done it any favours either. I think we've had drivers that are ready to end the season, and ultimately the race has been a little bit lacklustre. But I do think it's quite a fun venue to round out the season. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. And just quickly before we go, is this calendar a disappointment? We look at this calendar and we say, yeah, this is what we're used to with Formula One. But where's Turkey? Where's the second Bahrain circuit? Where's Imola? Where's the Nürburgring? Where's Portimao? Where's Mugello? All these awesome circuits we've tried this year. Sadly, in a post-COVID world that we're aiming for next year, Formula One's going to be returning to its roots, where money talks. It has to talk to make the sport financially viable for the long term. And the sad reality is, circuits like Portimao, like Mugello, do not have the resources behind them to be able to stage a Grand Prix. They do not have the infrastructure, the grandstands, the circuit owners with enough money in their pockets to make these circuits viable. I love the idea, and there is still potential with that round 4 slot. I love the idea of a revolving calendar. One race a year is our kind of freebie, if you will, and we go to Portimao one year, we go back to Imola. There's no German Grand Prix at all on this calendar, which I think is the biggest crime of them all. Hockenheim or the Nürburgring, either of them, I think the German Grand Prix has to be here. Sadly, it's not at the moment. There is room for improvement on this calendar. I'd love to throw in extra venues we've not even spoke about today, like Indianapolis, Kyalami. Portimao was so fun this year. There is room for improvement, yeah. I can't deny that. But in the comment section down below, I would love to know your 20 round calendar, your favourite calendar possible. Throw it in the comment section down below and I'll pick out a few of my favourites for the next weekly mailbox. Right, that is it from me today, guys. Thank you all very much for watching. If you are new, feel free to subscribe. I'll be back later today with a brand new episode of Formula One Transfer Talk, taking a look at the future of Alex Albon in Formula One and how he can potentially save his F1 career. So keep an eye out for that one. Thank you all very much for watching, and I hope to see you all in the next one.